Good morning, everyone. We're about to bring you the latest COVID-19 UAE updates. However, if you found this podcast through an article, which so many of you are doing, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts so you can get your Dubai news daily. Good morning, Dubai. Welcome back to Daily. We had a technical issue, but we're back. It's this morning, and if there wasn't a recording where are you all watching? We're looking forward to this, talking about someone who spent 38 million dirham on number plate in Dubai. About social media, have been jailed. They've also been for something they did on a road Abbey this weekend. We'll be talking about India cases mention. But before we but after this technical glitch, I'm call it. But Alibaba has been named Lovin Dubai's Employee of the Month. Well deserved. You know what? Congratulations.
Thank you.
And did you hear about your just this morning? So what we do and what's really interesting is going into the next month, we'll email about updates, what's up, and we all someone for Employee of the Month. So on Friday, and talk about all of our achievements. Congratulations, Ali. Fantastic job. Super thrilled. I work so close, working hard. Ali, like, that's so it's like, you gotta blow
Initial reaction.
emailing you, and he was like, oh, I don't what's on the I think that's leave it up. But well done. Do you have a speech? Anything you'd like to say? Fans, the followers?
I'm just grateful, the next day and continue working. Yeah. Just working harder and harder.
That's very okay, let's spin into our story. To UAE has been extended May 31. So Air now seen indications India Civil Aviation has announced the suspension of in and out of India. It's actually going to continue at the end of the month. Very few options. The country cases each day in the stark record for new tallying 400 in 24 hours. What's so crazy is we were sitting here ago, they had broken the record for 300,000 cases, and those cases are still rising, and that's of course continue to be overwhelmed. Total the country surpassed 9 million cases, and along with that, which isn't helping matters, that is percent of people fully vaccinated, and just 150 just under doses in Minnesota, and that's a population of 1.3 billion. So, like I said, with India, see UAE solidarity. India, oxygen has been flying from the UAE over India. We know that in terms of social support, it's there. As I think especially new strains, there's been we've seen cases rise with more, and I think it's kind of the after effects of that. Just hoping that we can bring more good news on that. Flights open. It's hard to say. I think that's the first flight we've some countries, and when 10 days, I think we were all skeptical. Oh, it's even they're not unsure if the 10 days would last. Extend until that gives more transparency for people who are thinking of flying. Not going to be able to do that in the next month. There are options on for people trying back to the UK. But like I said, our thoughts, having to news stories. They just kind of work, keep safe and well. People are wanting Dubai. Tricky one. We're going to quickly move on. So hold on, before we jump on to our story, like this, plug it in. I think our sound is a little bit faulty. That's okay. We'll move on. We'll take a break. We'll move into our next story. I'd love to get your thoughts. A social media influencer has two men. They were jailed for filming a driving stunt while driving at speeds of 205 kilometers per hour in Abu Dhabi. And one of them is a high-profile social media celebrity. Now, we don't have the name, we don't have the account, but I think the reason authorities are sharing this story is basically to send a warning to other people who might be even considering doing the same. And also because I think social media influencers with high profiles, they have a responsibility. They have a lot of young, possibly a young audience, and they are role models. And I think this is kind of a word of warning that authorities will not take this type of behavior lightly in any way. So basically they were driving at high speeds in a luxury car, and they were filming it all to get likes. They were posting it on their social. The video has now been removed, by the way, so you can't find it. During the sentencing, authorities pleaded with social media influencers to behave responsibly and to consider their young audiences. So in case anyone is considering doing it, like I said, they're not taking it lightly. What will happen is you could possibly be jailed. These guys have been jailed for 3 months, both of them, similar-ish sentences. They have been fined, I think it's 100k fine each, 6 months driving ban and 6 months social media ban. Also, their phones were confiscated and the footage was deleted. We talk about this type of behavior. Doesn't matter what the act is. Like these guys, what was it last week? There was a TikToker who was filming, it'll come to me. TikTokers who are doing things for likes on social media. And I think especially driving at 205 kilometers per hour on a road in the UAE, like what is the thought process? Like really, what is the thought process? It's hardly impressive. It's against the law. It's going to be taken down, especially if it goes viral, which is the aim. So it's a very, I don't know, it's so senseless, so thoughtless, especially considering these guys have massive followings potentially. In terms of we've talked about being social media role models, being role models to their audiences. It's hard to know, Ali. What are they doing?
See? Clout.
We've talked. And all proceeds from that towards providing services for disadvantaged 30 countries during the holy month of Ramadan. Along with, I'll get to it in a second, that there are also 4 fancy car places and 5 exclusive. They raised over 50 million last night, which is just so whopping, so incredible. Pricey's number plate, second price in the world, went for 38 million, and it's AA. So if you see AA, know that he 38 million, which is more than most cars. What's a pricey car? What's it been taken?
Ooh.
Those are really expensive supercars. Which one? The Veyron is okay, so it's not as expensive as the most expensive car. Shocking. To causes, and you sold T38, E51, and those prices went for houses. And the great thing about this is all has gone back into the 100 million meals campaign. A great cause. But it will be interesting to see those phone numbers. I'm not going to read them out this time because I realize it happened. Yeah, it's all been posted on social media online. So I just wonder if a prestige thing, if you to have or something to have on your electronic business.
It's more like yeah, yes, exactly. I like original. I think. Yes.
Okay. If you would like to get on to 100, you also do it by calling the toll number. So there's different types of transfer from your phone. That's what you do, but just get on your meals. And the cool thing is to be donating these. You can do it dirham, and that's 10 meals to the campaign, which is very, very cool. Stay tuned. By Katie Overy, host, presenter, and the voice behind that great podcast. Lovin Extra is here. This is the new membership, and while absolutely nothing changes for our readers, extra members get access to premium content, exclusive competitions, and first look for tickets and access to the coolest events across the city, and Lovin merch. If you subscribe right now, a very cool Lovin Red Eco Water bottle will be delivered to your door. Welcome back. We are joined by Katie Overy, Dubai MC, voiceover artist, presenter, and creator of That Grief Relief podcast with Katie Overy. It's a podcast about overcoming challenging and hard moments in life. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. I could hear your voice on the radio so much. It's such a radio voice and a podcast voice. It's lovely.
It's really weird because people say that to me all the time, and I obviously don't think about it. And then when some people don't even know what I do, they're like, "Oh, you have such an interesting voice." I'm like, "That's handy," because I use it a lot.
Podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really exciting to be here. Thanks very much.
Not at all. So we want to spread the word about that Grief Relief podcast.
Yes.
Can you tell us, just to give everyone a bit of an overview of what it is and why you created it?
So, first of all, it does sound quite sad and almost depressing and what have you, that Grief Relief podcast, but it was born out of my own experiences. So I have suffered quite a lot of loss in my life. I lost my parents 10 years ago in quite quick succession, and other forms of grief, which is what we delve into in the podcast as well. However, me and my family deal with it in a really open-hearted and light-hearted way, which is what I talk about a lot on the podcast. We kind of, because of our parents, we deal with it using humor and openness, and I just want to talk to anyone about my parents. Mm-hmm. So I don't want people to be scared to talk, to ask me about my parents or my other lost loved ones. So the podcast originally started out with, it was going to be me and two of my brothers, Russell and Oliver, and it was going to be called, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but it was going to be called the Dead Parents Society, because it was just going to be us chatting and just sharing stories of our parents and other people's parents, what have you. It then just evolved, basically. I just decided, okay, I'm going to take it on myself. And it was originally just going to rotate my members of my family and just talking about how we deal with grief. Mm-hmm. But then people started to reach out to me and said, love the podcast. I would love to share the story of X, Y, and Z, whomever they had lost, which was I was like, what? People want to share their stories? Then it kind of evolved even more to what, other forms of grief, the loss of a pet, the loss of a marriage or a relationship. In the current circumstances, someone, I'm recording an episode next week of someone who lost their job after 25 years, just grieving their old life. Yeah. But it's really funny, and I don't mean to be big-headed. That's not just from me, but it's super light-hearted, super funny. My guests are amazing. They just want to tell their stories, and it seems to be really helping people, which I wasn't expecting.
Well, this is amazing. I think it's so interesting that it's not, when I thought about grief for myself, I was like, have I experienced grief? Well, is a close loved one? But then, divorce is a grief. Yeah. Like you said, losing his job is a grief. But there's some very touching moments as well. So it's like, it's quite an interesting one, because I think I heard your brother describe the moment he heard that your mom had died. Yes. And then passing that, and then having to pass that information on to your mom's sister. Yeah. But then 2 seconds later, he's laughing about a dragon coming into the room, and you're just like, but do you think even when did these events happen, do you find that this podcast was nearly a form of therapy for you to relive them?
Kind of always, but I mean, anyone that knows me knows that I will talk about my parents all the time, and at any given opportunity. I'm very, very, very open with it. So yes, it is a form of therapy, but then the DMs that I get as well on Instagram, which is very interesting for this region, which I'm sure we'll touch on a bit later, is that so many people message me direct and say, thank you so much for this. I lost someone, or, even my pet died, and I don't feel like I can grieve because society won't let me. And it's quite fascinating. But yeah, I mean, it's therapy, I suppose. We will talk about grief potentially being a taboo here, but it's so interesting because if I'm in a conversation with someone and I say, oh, how's your dad? And you're like, oh, he died. And it's like, oh, sorry. And the conversation, because my dad died when I was a baby, so it's like, but it's very much that, oh no, it's fine, it's absolutely fine. You're in the Dead Dad Club too. Yeah. Nice. I'll get you a membership card. Thank you so much. I've been waiting my whole life for that. But it's that thing where I sometimes feel awkward because I don't know how to continue the conversation, and it nearly does. It just puts there's no way to make someone feel comfortable. So actually talking about it does open it up. But like you were saying, potentially grief being a taboo. When someone hears someone dies, there's that grieving period. And then after that, you can't really talk about it anymore. So how can people become more open talking about grief? I mean, it's a really good question. And I know there's a lot of cultures and religions and everything, and everything does differ. But I think it's how you are that allows the people around you to, I've just made a joke about you having a dead dad, which is an awful thing. And I'm sorry if I've offended anyone, but because of the way you said it, you kind of gave me permission to to allow you to speak like that. There are people that I know whose family members have passed away 20 years ago, and the minute they think or speak about it, you can see they're instantly anxious, instantly tense. So I'm not going to make a joke, you know, I can read a room basically, but I don't know. I think it's honestly, I'm 18 episodes in, and I've been really surprised by not only my guests, but as I say, the DMs I've had from people that wish people would ask them more about what's going on. And again, grief isn't just about lost loved ones, it's about everything. Because as I say at the beginning of the podcast, we all grieve differently. Just because I use humor doesn't mean that you're going to use humor, doesn't mean that you're going to use humor. It's totally different.
But humor is a way to bring it to the table to talk about it, because it's literally that thing of, and if you have a friend or a relative who's grieving, you want to be there for them. But then it gets to the point of, and actually, so I have a situation that gets to the point of, after a couple of weeks, I don't want to, am I reminding them? Yeah. So it's like, I want to check in, but I don't want to remind them of the fact. I want to make sure they're okay. I want to ask them how they're doing, but I don't know how to do it. And it's the same with kind of mental health. You find the right questions, and actually the grief topic isn't explored enough, I don't think. So I think it's fantastic that you're doing it. In terms of DMs that you're getting, what is the general response?
I've been overwhelmed by the response, but and not just from obviously friends and family that you would think are going to like it, but genuinely from people saying that they're so grateful for it, and then people that just outpour their stories. You know, an incredible woman whose husband passed away 9 years ago. She's now gone on to remarry, and she tells me her story. And I actually checked in with her because I saw she posted about the anniversary of her husband's passing. People talk a lot about, it's quite a long word, disenfranchised grief. So this is grief that isn't socially recognized. So episode 18 that came out last week with Alex Grant, she spoke about the death of her relationship. Now, she wasn't married, so she was just with her partner for 9 years, but it knocked her for 6. 100%. But a lot of people sort of don't accept that can be so bad. You know, people would say to her, oh, you know, you'll get over it, you'll meet someone else, or there's plenty more fish in the sea. But she said, I felt like I was dying. And I felt like I couldn't actually say to people I was grieving. So yeah, the DMs are amazing. And a lot of DMs from men, and a lot of DMs from men from an Arab background or a South Asian background, whereby they will say, my father passed away, I feel I can't grieve because I'm now the head of the family. Wow. Or people who actually say that they're seeing a therapist, but would be terrified if their family found out for the shame that it would bring on it. That's not just a cultural thing. That's super global as well. And actually, my episode that's coming out this week is with a guy called Athul, who you may know from Virgin Radio. He was in Dubai A2L and Virgin Radio Oman. His father passed away 4 years ago, and he talks about that. So he's from Kerala, and you talk about time, and you don't want to bring it up again. He talks about the fact that there is then another gathering 40 days after the passing of their loved one. And Athul speaks very openly of like, why would you do that? Well, I don't want to be reminded about this. And he's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that episode coming out.
Well, that's so interesting because grief is so personal to people, and some people would maybe look forward, like the Irish Wake, and they would look forward to it because it's very much a storytelling and a happy time. It tries to be, but then it's all down to very personal. Like you said, people grieve differently. You said you're 19 episodes in. Which episode has kind of like stood out to you as surprising, as one that you didn't think that would kind of knock you for 6?
Yeah. Good question. So even the ones with my family are quite interesting, because sometimes there are parts of the story that even I don't know, or that I've embellished, and you'll hear in some of them, and I'm like, really? Did that happen? You know, and I have no clue. It is because, again, so even myself and my 2 brothers, we have even remembered the loss of our parents in kind of mildly different ways. Or my brother Russell talks about a time after my mum passed away that we were all around the dinner table, and he lost his temper with Oliver and I, my younger brother, because we were being quite lighthearted. We weren't joking about what happened, we were being lighthearted. Russell kind of, lost his temper, and I don't remember that at all. But in terms of people that came to me, episode 5 was the first person that wasn't a member of my family, and it was a woman called Nicole Majdalani, Nicole on Trend. I don't know if you know her. And I knew she came to me and said, I'd be happy, you know, I'd love to talk about my sister. Her sister passed away. But it wasn't that shocked me. It was like other things like within it. And sorry, I've gone off on one now. I don't find out anything about my story, my guest story. Because the idea is that I want to ask them, as if I met you in a coffee shop and you said to me, my father passed away when I was a baby, I would want to ask you, oh my goodness, how old were you? How did he pass away? Like, was your mum okay? And did you grow up with a stepdad? You know, I want to ask all these questions. But to a stranger, you don't normally want to do that. You sort of go, I'm sorry about that, and then awkwardly change the subject.
Because you have no idea how they're feeling.
Exactly. Obviously, my guests are open and willing to my questions. So I'm just like machine gun questioning because it's all just in my brain. So yeah, you'll see in episode 5 that I'm literally like, what? Everything she's saying. Another sort of local hero, if you like, is Candy Fanucci, who started Surf Pirates Rescue. No, Pirate Surf Rescue. Anyway, she has suffered untold loss. Like, it's phenomenal, even in terms of, you know, financial loss and losing businesses and going through, you know, separations as well. And I didn't think I'd ever meet anyone that has lost as many people as I had. And I think she now has like the badge.
Taking the
yeah, exactly. But what then she's done with that, and how then she moves that forward and teaches the children within her club is just... I spent an hour speaking to Candy, just beaming, you know, just full of, oh my goodness, do you know what? Everything's okay. And everyone, you know, we can all kind of do this. It was really inspirational.
Well, that's interesting because that's about kind of, let's say, overcoming it and being positive. So do all of the podcasts take that similar, it's okay type theme, or is it very much based on the person and it's each is a different learning?
Yeah, totally different.
Ooh, that's a really good one. There is one called Bretton Cliffs Flea Circus, which is just 2 guys from South Shields in the northeast of England talking as if they're having a chat over a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And then they every now and again talk about TV and film. James, him and his wife do a podcast called Teach Me a Lesson, and they have a teacher on each episode because, I don't know about you, I wasn't awfully academic at school, so it's really interesting to kind of learn lessons in podcasts and format. So I have that on in the background.
That is really, well, I was a teacher for a very short period and we have some good stories.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I have to say Breaking Geek Radio because that's my brother's podcast.
Oh.
I mean, it's not his, but he's on it.
If you showed us, I have to say it.
Yeah, I do, because he knows, like, it's mega geeky. Like, it's not just if you're mildly into geek stuff. This is mega geeky. Breaking Geek Radio. I guess.
Guys, that is it. Katie Overy with that Grief Relief podcast. Really amazing way to share human stories of people going through grief. It's very personal. It's also very fun and lighthearted at the same time.
Thank you.
Guys, that is it for us on the Lovin Daily. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much.
We're back with you every single weekday morning and weekend morning, same time, same place. Stay safe and wash your hands. Bye. Guys, that is a wrap for the Lovin Daily. We are back same time, same place every weekday morning. And of course, don't miss the Lovin Show every Tuesday where I chat with Dubai personalities. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and have a great day.